This is the Sports Porch, Philadelphia, with your hosts, the Grand Schwalbini, Rube, and me, your technical director. Come on, Philly, show us a little Eagles, Flyers, Phillies, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now.
Sports Porchers. You are live with the Grand Schwalbini, and the Grand Schwalbini tonight is doing a solo show, believe it or not. Our technical director had some technical difficulties himself, so he is not here. And Rube, basically, boss man said, Rube, get in my office right now, and I need you to do work for the company. And hey, what can I say? I mean, these aren't our number one jobs. These are our fun jobs. So all I can say is, hey, it's just the Grand Schwalbini today. So little shorter show today. We're going to talk a lot about the Eagles and the big win over the Chiefs. We're going to talk about the Phillies clinching the division and the playoffs. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we are watching. It will just be what I am watching, obviously, but that's what we are going to talk about. So pretty exciting times. I'm sure all of you watched the Eagles defeat the Chiefs last weekend. I personally didn't really see it coming. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought that it was just going to be too much. Chiefs 0-1, revenge for the Super Bowl. Usually the team that loses the Super Bowl wins the regular season game the next year, as what happened when the Eagles lost to the Chiefs 2 years ago, and then they beat the Chiefs in the regular season in Arrowhead again. I don't know what to really make of the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs might be heading on a downward pace. It just seems like they don't have much except for Pat Mahomes. The receivers, now granted, Xavier Worthy was out, Rashid Rice was out. So with those guys back in the lineup, they're a more formidable offense. But the way I was kind of looking at it, look, I mean, the Eagles didn't have Dallas Goedert, so we didn't have a big part of our offense. Chiefs defense is still good. But the Birds did what they had to do to get the job done. And look, I understand there's no style points with this win. With this win, you had a lot of people saying like, well, the passing game is still a problem because, Jalen Hurts only threw for 101 yards. But you know what? That's all he had to throw for. You lean on a running game, you keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And, you hit a big play when you need one, which was when they called an all-out blitz in the fourth quarter. And Jalen, lobs up a jump ball to Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith makes the catch and sets up, a tush-push touchdown. Look, they do what they have to do to win the game. Very, very impressed with the Eagles defense. I mean, wow. I didn't think it was going to be clicking like this. But with the exception of the first half against the Cowboys, they blanked the Cowboys in the second half and only gave up 17 points to the Chiefs through this game. I mean, Andrew Makuba. I mean, wow. Andrew Makuba, let's take a little peek at what we saw from Andrew Makuba.
Blitz, Mahomes over the middle, Kelsey. Oh, it's picked off. It's Makuba who's got it, and Rube to run. One man to beat, and he's taken out. Andrew Makuba, the rookie from Texas, on the bounce off of Kelsey, and a huge play for the Eagles.
Incredible. Patrick makes a great throw on the angle route.
And there you have it. Andrew Makuba always seems to be around the ball. Had another blitz sack in this game. So while we were all really nervous about CJGJ getting let go or traded, rather, the Eagles' answer was, hey, we're pretty good at picking players, and we're going to take Andrew Makuba, I think last pick in the second round. And I'll tell you what, he was a playmaker in college. He's a playmaker in the NFL. He was the guy in one of the preseason games. He took a interception to the house. So I think it was like a 75-yarder. And here he is making a huge play. Now, should Kelsey have caught the ball? Probably. But, the great players are always around the ball. And so that was cool to see with Makuba. Let's take a look now at the Saquon Barkley TD.
10 for the Eagles. Here's Barkley, right side, sprinting through the hole. Saquon Barkley is in. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
And there you have it. I mean, look, Saquon hasn't broken a big one yet, but he's breaking. He's got a touchdown in each game. And that one was fairly significant. I think it was like 13 yards. Shows a little burst up the middle. And even though, the Chiefs were planning on stopping Saquon, I think he did still rush for, 88 yards in the game. So that's critical. Now, the other thing out there was, this nonsense about, the tush push and, people are offside on every single play. First of all, they're not offside on every single play. Okay. What typically happens is, I really think it's all about Tyler Steen right now, who's filling in for Mekhi Becton, who they let go. I really wasn't sure why we let him go. We could have had him at a reasonable price, but Tyler Steen, look, he's an average offensive lineman. And I do realize sometimes they're looking back to the quarterback for one thing or another, but my God, it seems like he's like looking back at Jalen Hurts the entire time until it's like ready to have the ball snapped. So I don't know what he's doing, but he seems confused. He seems a little jumpy in there. There might have been a time or two that he jumped off sides, but the bottom line is, who really cares? You gotta, it's football. They don't catch every single play. You can call holding on every single play, right? And they don't. So the bottom line is still nobody can stop the tush push. Still nobody can beat Jalen Hurts with his sort of, highlight play of his career that nobody's ever going to match. So, hey, what can you say? I mean, people are going to whine and complain when you win, and that's what happens all the time. By the way, great little interaction. I don't know if you caught it at the end of the game, but when the Eagles were taking their final kneel down, Chris Jones, he goes into the, like, basically right up to Cam Jurgens, and he says something like, basically saying that Jalen sucks because he only threw for 100 yards, or he didn't quite throw for 100. He's like, yo, you didn't even throw for 100 yards today. And classic Jalen just basically looked at him and he's like, yo, we won the fucking game. Shut your ass up. Now, I thought that was fantastic because it's just like, look, Chris Jones. I mean, look, you're a great player. We know it. You'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. Congratulations. You won some Super Bowls. But you know what? You're also a selfish, jackass. Let's just be honest about it. You cost your team a game last year because you decided, or I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but you decided to hold out and miss the first game, and then they lost, and then you finally signed. So you're really thinking mainly about yourself. You're more interested in what did your defense do yards wise against the Eagles instead of just actually winning the game. It's a team game. And I think that's part of the reason why the Eagles have been so successful, over this period of time. So I also just want to pop in here and just say, hey, listen, thank you for everybody who is watching us on X. Thank you for everybody who is following us on YouTube. If you haven't gone to YouTube yet, click subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of the crew. You can find us on X at Philly Porch. That's the easiest thing in the world. And it's the Philadelphia Sports Porch on YouTube. And of course, you can find us on Philadelphia Beautiful on Facebook as well. Just so you know, we download after the show, we download every show onto the podcast platform. So you can get us, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. As the technical director would say, anywhere you get your frickin' podcasts. So, hey, I will say a little difficult doing the show on your own. Nobody to banter back and forth with. But I'm just giving you my thoughts here and hoping you can make some sense out of them. We did have planned for today. We were going to do my and Rube's 10 most important Eagles. But we're going to put that off until next week. I'm going to hold off on that until next week. So what I'm going to do, at least for now, is let's just kind of give out game balls for the Eagles. I'm going to give my number one game ball to Jalen Hurts. Jalen, all he does is win. That's all he does is win. He is now the second quarterback ever to beat Patrick Mahomes 3 games in a row, next to Joe Burrow, who unfortunately for him is out injured and going to miss 3 months. It just seems like nothing ever goes right for Joe Burrow. And a good friend of mine says he's a bum. Not a bum in terms of fantasy football points, but a bum in terms of like his career is just cursed. He got to the Super Bowl, he didn't get it done, and he's never getting back. That's just what it seems like to me, and probably to a lot of other people. So game ball number one goes to Jalen Hurts. I'm going to say game ball number 2 is going to go to Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott has turned things around. He's now got 3 field goals over 50 yards. And they've been pretty deep ones, 58-yard, 53 yards. So Jake's looks like his swing is back. I think it was just an issue with the holder. Not the holder, because that's Braden Mann. I think it was just an issue with the long snapper. Last year, I think Rick Lovato, for whatever reason, just wasn't getting it done. And, now it seems like it's a smooth, process. And Jake's just putting them through without blinking an eye. So he's doing a great job. And I guess I'll give it a game ball to Vic Fangio as well. Vic Fangio is a guy that maybe you take for granted sometimes just how good of a defensive coordinator he is. It would have been the easiest thing in the world to say, hey, look, this team is essentially the same team we played in the Super Bowl with a few tweaks here and there. Well, let's just go with what worked in the Super Bowl, right? Let's not rush anybody. And even though they got 6 sacks in the Super Bowl, they did it with a 4-man rush. It would be so easy just to say, let's do that. That was the formula that worked. Well, look, Vic looks at it and he says, okay, well, I don't have Milton Williams here. I don't have Josh Sweat here. And he said, you know what? They're probably expecting us to do the same thing we did in the Super Bowl. And so what does he do? He mixes it up. He throws in, a safety blitz with Makuba. He blitzed several times in that game, really kind of putting the pressure on Patrick Mahomes. And if you think of it from his point of view, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because, look, Mahomes doesn't really have weapons right now. You've got sort of like an aging Travis Kelce who, probably Travis Kelce 3 years ago catches that ball and scores a touchdown. But, he's a step behind. Maybe his head isn't all there. Maybe he's focusing on wedding plans. Who knows? But yeah, Vic mixes it up. So I'm going to give a game ball to Vic Fangio as well. So those are my game balls. Really, I can't say there's a single player on the Eagles that did something negative in the game. I really can't think of anybody. Maybe Quinyon on that deep ball touchdown late in the game, but I also think that Quinyon was supposed to get some help on that, so I'm not sure I should entirely blame it on Quinyon. But look, you get through a game only giving up 17 points to Pat Mahomes, you got to be happy. right? So you got to be pleased with that. So let's look forward to next week. We've got the Eagles at home against the Rams. Another replay from last year. And, this was the game that was really the closest for the Eagles in the playoffs. If it wasn't for a Jalen Carter sack and next play pressure, Eagles might not have gone to the Super Bowl last year. So, look, it's a well-coached team. Sean McVay, we all know that. It's a team with a Hall of Fame quarterback, Matthew Stafford, some really good receivers, in particular Puka Nacua, and I believe I'm not 100% here, but I'm pretty sure that that's also where Devontae Adams landed. I don't know if I'm 100% correct on that, but I believe I am correct on that. If I'm not, we'll figure it out later, and we'll just print a correction after the fact. But yeah, they've got talent. Kyron Williams, good running back. Defense is really strong. Jared Verse, a formidable opponent. Mailata's going to have his hands full dealing with him. I like the Eagles in this game simply because they're playing at home. It's a 1:00 game. I feel like, the Eagles have kind of had about 2 weeks to kind of knock the rust off, and I think they're going to be able to open it up a little bit against the Rams. So I'm picking the Eagles to take out the Rams and move to 3-0. At the same time, look, would it shock me if the Rams won? No, not at all. I think that they're one of the teams that's going to really compete with the Eagles this year. I mean, I'm basically looking right now at, you've got the Eagles, you've got the Packers, obviously. Micah Parsons looks really good in green and white, I have to tell you. The Rams are a team. Who knows about the 49ers? Brock Purdy's already hurt, even though his backup played well last year. Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, he's hurt as well. You can see what's going to happen there. 1 week he's going to look like he shows tons of promise, like week 1, and then week 2 he's going to look like a rookie. So I don't think you can really take them seriously until he's had a year under his belt. Commanders you would also put into that category, although it was very interesting. In last week's game, Jalen Daniels was on a scramble, got hit pretty low, like on the shin or the knee. He's got a knee issue now, and so he might be out this week. So we'll see. I just, it's not like he's playing terrible or anything, but it's like the sophomore slump is kind of, it's sticking out to us, right? It just seems like, that's going to be a thing. So by the way, if you do want to make any comments, just comment here. The Grand Schwalbini will be happy to answer them for you. Certainly love to get some interaction. I'm not really about only talking to myself, but that's what I am left with tonight. Let's just face it, this is show business, and in show business, you have to, do your job on the holidays. You have to do your job on the weekends. You have to do your job in the evenings. This is what the Grand Schwalbini signed up for, and this is what I'm doing. I'm bringing it to you. Sometimes you got to say to the family, hey, in order to put food on the table, Dad works in the biz. And, so that's why I'm here. Not everybody, holds to that as near and dear as I do, but I'm going to work on it with those fellas. So hopefully they will be back next week, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe this will be a new thing, you and I, but we shall see. So Eagles, Rams, looking forward to it. Let's talk a little Philadelphia Phillies. All right. They have clinched. I like that shot. I like that shot of Bryce Harper in the middle there, pumped up. You got Schwarbs, you got Christopher Sanchez, you got Johan Duran, you got JT Realmuto. These guys are basically your guys that are going to have to carry this team to a championship, if that's going to be the case. I'll tell you what, I think they got a pretty good shot. I really do. Does it hurt to have Zach Wheeler, out for the playoffs? Sure, it does. But I guess what better position to be in than to have the Phillies staff, where you can certainly at least throw 3 really good pitchers out there. I don't know about 4. That's what we're going to have to try to think about in the days to come. But you finally have that shutdown closer. Now, I know he gave up a home run last night, but look, his ERA is like 1.9. He's got 30 saves on the year, and he can be just unhittable when he's at his best. Cranking in 103, 104. Love what Harrison Bader has given this team. I mean, the guy's hitting like 290 now at this point. Seems to get 3 hits every game. Trey Turner goes down with an injury, and you've got Harrison Bader just leap into the leadoff spot, and it's, he's a hell of a player. He's great in center field. He steals home runs like it's just like, any other fly ball to the outfield. Really good player. And give it up to Brandon Marsh too. I think he's hitting like 285. I don't know how it was that he turned himself around, but boy, he was really bad in the beginning of the season. And now we've got a pretty formidable outfield. So much better, with that as compared to like watching Rojas and and even turning Nick Castellanos, although I love him. He hasn't really been getting it done too often lately. And to be honest, when he's not in the lineup, it doesn't really seem like we're missing him that much. Look, now we need to have Trey Turner come back healthy. That's key. I think in terms of setting the rotation, I'll tell you what, if it's up to me, and I know this is crazy, I think you go 3 lefties. I mean, I think you Sanchez is your number 1, Ranger's your number 2. And I think your number 3 is Luzardo. These are the guys that are pitching well. I mean, like, I can't throw Aaron Nola out there. Like he has one good start where, pitches 6-7 innings, doesn't give up any runs. You think maybe Nola's back. Then the next start, he comes out, gives up nothing for like 4 innings and then has like a 6-run inning, with home runs. I mean, look, I think at this point, you just can't trust him. I wouldn't necessarily leave him off the playoff roster. I think I'd use him as a reliever, or maybe even as a long reliever if you needed to. I don't like Taijuan Walker in that role. I think maybe you go with Buehler, as your 4th starter if you need one as you continue to advance in the playoffs. And also too, I'll tell you what, it's looking pretty good that the Phillies are going to get a bye. They're closer to catching the Brewers for first place, just 1.5 behind them, than they are from losing the 2nd seed in the bye, where I think it's LA is about is like 5 games behind the Phillies, or 4.5 or something like that. So Phillies have played some really good baseball here towards the end of the year, and here's hoping that they continue it into the playoffs. Hey, it would be just like Philadelphia for us to, go out there and win the World Series when we don't have our best pitcher. Just kind of like when we go out and we win the Super Bowl, when we don't have our 11-1 quarterback that year in Carson Wentz. We win it with Nick Foles. So it wouldn't shock me. I mean, Harper is really hot now. Schwarber, 53 home runs. Love to see how close he can get to 60. Just a really fun team. And I'll tell you what, we criticized them like crazy at the trade deadline for not doing enough. I'll tell you what, they had one of the better trade deadlines out there. Duran, an absolute dominant closer, and Harrison Bader looks to me like more than just a platoon outfielder. I put that guy in center field every day going forward this year, next year. I love that guy. I think he brings a little swagger to the team. And that's something that they really didn't have before. So, that's huge. So the last thing I'm going to do today in this short little abbreviated show for you is we like to do something called What We're Watching, or I call it Stream Sauce. And what that means is, look, the worst thing in the world, I think we all know this, is when you are, you just finished that really good show and you're like, wow, oh man, we can't watch any more of those. Oh, what's going to replace it, right? And then you start looking, and you're watching trailers, and before you know it, 40 minutes has gone by, and it's almost time for bed, and you're just like, ugh. Or you pick something, you watch an episode, and just blew 60 minutes of your day because you're not watching episode 2 because it stunk. Well, us guys here at the Sports Porch, we are here for you. We are here to save you time and to save you headaches. We want to make you the superstar. So when your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever, says, hey, what should we watch tonight? If the Sports Porch guys say thumbs up, that means you got a lockdown winner. It's a lock. Okay. Just roll with it and you will be happy. If the Sports Porch guys say 2 thumbs down, it means don't even think about it. Don't waste your time. Just say to your significant other, heard bad reviews, heard bad things, right? So I am going to put up something that I have been watching. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's called Countdown. And I'm sure you probably can see there that's Eric Dane, who was on like The Last Ship and some other big things. This lady over here, she was like on SEAL Team. It's a really good show. It's 13 episodes, which I think is kind of nice because it's one season, and you go 13 episodes. And so it's better than the 6 or the 8. So you're watching it for a little while. Look, is it anything special? Not really. But if you're just like looking for just pure fun, pure action, the way I look at this is this falls into the category that I call action never fails, right? Basically, what that means is it might not be the greatest thing on earth, but from beginning to end, you're entertained. And you're not looking at your watch. You're not looking down at your phone to see what a score of a game is. You're into it, right? And this one is just a story about, it's a special task force when there are terrorist threats going on in the United States. They pull somebody in from the CIA, the FBI, LAPD, NYPD, DEA. They pull like somebody from everywhere, right? And they form this task force special team of like the best of the best, and they go out and they stop terroristic threats. So it's that's always a good thing. We don't want terrorist action here at home. So and I always love shows like that. Kind of makes you wonder if this is what really happens in the real world. I'm sure probably a lot of it does. So that's really all I got. Thanks for hanging with me. Follow us on X at Philly Porch and the Sports Porch Philadelphia on YouTube, or you can catch us on Philadelphia Beautiful or theporcheslive.com. Thank you for watching. If you didn't get to see it tonight, although I don't know why I'm telling you, because if you're not watching it, then you're not gonna be able to follow my instructions. But what I think I'm trying to say is just remember always that you can find these on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts. The Grand Schwalbini thanks you. Thanks you for your patronage. Thanks you for your attendance. Thanks you for being a Philly sports fan with all the Philly sports fans out there. 4 for 4. All right, you want to throw in the Union, 5 for 5. We love you. We love you. Next week, Eagles Rams. Hopefully the guys will be back in the studio. And peace out.